Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Got a pen review for you folks, and you know, once in a while you stumble on a pen that I call a fun pen, and let me explain. You know, you have your Grail pens, right? The Grail pens are most of the time are the expensive, unattainable gems that you purchase for your collection, that you are, you know, you're somewhat weary to use them on an everyday basis. You keep them stored properly, washed, etc., etc. Then you have your everyday, your EDC pens, your everyday carry, and what I call my go-to pens. You know, pens that you can bring around, throw in your bag, go to the office. You know they will work all the time. And you got in-betweens. You got the forgotten ones that are kind of in a drawer somewhere, but you don't really use very often. And then you got your fun pens. And I think that Flex nibs are in that category. They're sometimes unusable. And in other words, you can just do some journaling and some fooling around on a notebook just to have fun therapy. But, you know, as an everyday carry, they become problematic. You know, the feed doesn't keep up. You know, you're going to get some railroading, etc., etc. So you lose patience, and they're not really. And you know, you got wide line. They're gushers, too much ink, etc., etc. But they're fun pens. They're pens that you sit around your desk and you just doodle with them, draw with them, have fun with them. And that's what I've got for you today. I've got another Flex pen. I've been looking at this particular product for some time, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to order one. And it's a Jinhao 9019 with an Ultra-Flex nib, folks. So stay tuned. Fountain Pen Therapy presents another fun pen. Okay, so we're back, and here's the product. Now, I'm not going to go through, you know, the regular review of a pen because, you know, the Jinhao 9019, we've seen it, we've reviewed it. It's been reviewed by many, many reviewers. It's been around for years now. The only thing I want to mention to you is what is different about this 9019 when you compare it to, you know, an ordinary 9019 that you can pick up for $10, $15, $20. The first thing you notice is that there is no converter. So you don't have, you know, that infamous or famous Jinhao large size converter, which I thought was a really nice invention. There's none here. And you know, did they do it to save money? I'm not sure. But I think the principal reason is that they need to have a full eyedropper system to feed, I think, that nib to make sure that it keeps up. And maybe they figured it's not enough to have a converter, which kind of restricts flow. So that's the reason. Otherwise, you're really looking at a classic 9019. Now, so what I propose is let's look at the nib right away. Here's the nib. So the nib, I'm not sure if this is a Jinhao that's been sliced or where they get that nib. You can see it's got a slice on the side. It's got slit going from the top to the bottom in the middle. It's got a feed that I would say is plastic, which is surprising. It doesn't look like an ebonite feed at all. I don't think it is. Now, let's try to see if I could unscrew this. Yeah, it comes out fairly easily. Not a problem. And as you can see, normally what you have is the nipple sticking out to accommodate the converter is not there. They've removed it. There is a slit there that I can see. Now, can I pull out the feed without? Yeah, here we go. Here is the feed. Now, the feed looks like it's got a nice channel there. So I'm hoping, and it looks like it may have been even modified. It was tested, I can tell. So I'm hoping that that feed can keep up. And it was tested because I do have it comes with, let me just show you 1 second. Let me just put back the feed in the nib. Okay, here we go. Well, there's no O-rings at all anywhere, which is surprising. I may put some silicone grease there, but let me just close the pen, show you what it comes with. It comes with this testing. So it says Tam Wing or Tom Wing, I guess in Chinese, 9019 S Flex fine nib. This pen is an Ultra-Flex. This pen is an Ultra-Flex, and then I guess it shows you the line variation. And this is tested on October 22nd by somebody by the name of Tom or Tam Wing. So that it comes with that. There's also a kind of an instruction sheet. Where is it? Let me just get it for you. I've not read this, but welcome to your Tam. So it's Tam Wing Superflex Nib Fountain Pen. And it gives you filling instructions. It gives you pen and care usage, nib size guide, recommended inks, railroad killer. Our especially developed railroad killer ink enhancer can be used for broader calligraphy. So I guess they're trying to sell you another product. So, there's some information there, and it's both in English and in Chinese. I will spare you reading it completely, but essentially that's it, really. So I think the real fun is to use this pen and compare it to some of my other flex nibs and flex pens just to see where it stands. So what we'll do is I'm going to fill it. I'm going to have to choose the ink, and we'll take it from there. So stay tuned. Okay, so I'm back. I finally decided the ink. I said to myself, I'm going to go with an Iroshizuku ink, which is, nice flow and good inks. But rather than just go with the standard Kampeki, I never get to use this Ama-Iro, so we're going to go with this Ama-Iro. By the way, it comes in this box, and they also provide this tool, which you can measure and fill up, and then we can empty an eyedropper. There we go. Now, as you can imagine, there's going to be a lot of ink that goes in there. I'm not going to fill it to the top. Well, maybe I should, eh? I don't think it's necessary, frankly. No, I think I can leave it like that. And we can see it swish around, so I'm going to put that. And we can close that up. Now, that's interesting. We're going to see how long it takes to for the ink to go down. Let me just shut that so we don't get leaks everywhere. Okay, so you can see the ink. First time that I've had to fill a Jinhao that way. To what extent will it go all the way in and go there quickly? I'll let you know. I'm going to go off camera and maybe I'll let you know whether it was quick or not. I'm right back. I can tell you it was amazingly quick. As soon as I just shut off my camera and went to write with it, it was there. The flow was there. I didn't have to prime it. I didn't have to do anything, which is good news. It means that that feed has been modified properly. So I've got Tomo River paper here, and we're going to do some writing with this pen. Now other than a couple of lines, I've not really written with it. So we'll take it from the very beginning. So this is the Jinhao '19 Ultra-Flex. Wow, this is really nice, folks. It's a flex nib that you can write with. Unlike, for example, the Magna Carta, the Mag 600, which is, sometimes writes like a paintbrush and subject to railroading. So far, you can tell I can go easy or I could go, and, oh, sorry, my phone's ringing. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, this pen is an absolute joy. First of all, I think this gives you a pretty good idea. That ink is just perfect for it. It's too bad I'm not a calligrapher, but, I can go very light with it, as you could see, so you can go from fine, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's a real fine pen. Look at this. I can go from fine, so it's not like some, and with my hand tremor, it's not ideal, but I think you get the idea. Folks, I love this flex nib. The verdict's still out, but I'm actually so enthusiastic that it may be the best flex nib that I own, because it allows me to write in a normal fashion. I mean, for somebody who knows what they're doing in terms of, using the flex nib and calligraphy and all the rest of it, I think that this is an absolute joy. I regret not having bought this earlier. Now, let me just show you, before we compare it to some other nibs, and that ink is just perfect, by the way. I did want to show you, there's different nibs. So let me go to my computer. Let me cut to my computer. Here we go. You can. Okay, so the first one is the Super-Flex. It's not, this pen is flexible. So it doesn't say Ultra-Flex, Super-Flex. Then you have, this pen is Ultra-Flex, which is what I have. Okay. Then you can order it's another Ultra-Flex. You can get different 9019s, I guess the transparent one, the black one. Then they have what they call a cone nib. And you can see that the nib is slightly coned. It's a little more pointy. And it allows some flex but less. I may order that just to see how it works. Then what they call, that's another cone nib with a different colored pen. Then they have what they call the Gothic nib, which is kind of a stubbish, flexible nib. Okay, and the last one is another Gothic nib. So those are the choices you have. Okay, now let's try to compare it with some other pens that I have. Okay, so I'm back. What are we going to compare it to? Show both sides of the paper if I can here. Let me just, this is my Scribo Feel-the-Flex. This is one of my favorite because I can write with this on a, as an everyday carry, if you will, okay, without too many issues. I find it, though, a little too bouncy as compared to that Jinhao. So that's the Scribo Flex. Then, of course, I got my noodle, which is this Magna Carta. Now, this railroads all the time. Well, okay, good. It's working here. Magna Carta is the Mag 600. But this is like a paintbrush. It's writing now, but it often gives me issues. It'll start to railroad at one point. But again, so this is more of a fun pen than anything else, and it's a real gusher. Okay, so that's the Mag. This is a fountain pen Revolution double tone, because I find the ones that are duotoned FPR Ultra-Flex with the ebonite feed, they're stiffer than just the silver toned. Okay, so this is the it's an Oranga pen, but this is the fountain pen Revolution. Ultra-Flex. And it is the steel. What I find nice about this one is it's got better, it springs back, So it's got a better spring back effect that would allow real calligraphers to have a lot of fun with this. And, amongst my best, I would say to you. In this AdMock, what is it? I guess it's a 400. There is a Schmidt nib, number 5, that's been, you see the cut? It's cut all the way down. So this is the Schmidt number 5 Flex. Bought that on a site by the name of FP NIBS. Let me tell you, for a small nib, it is a real joy to write with. That's a Schmidt number 5. And then in another M4 at AdMock, I have the Fountain Pen Revolution Ultra-Flex, but in number 5. So this is the Fountain Pen Revolution. Number 5. Also very nice, and it's got a much better spring back, a little bit like the vintage nibs. Now, I haven't pulled out my vintage nibs because some of those have wonderful flex nibs. This is the Good Blue. Oh, is there any ink? Or is it just railroading on me? No, there's ink. Yeah, this one's a little bit like the Mag 600. It can get temperamental and start to railroad on you. So there is some railroading. There we go. And then I've got this is a fountain pen Revolution. It's in one of my Asvine pens. So this is the FPR, but in the silver tone, which in my view is more flexy than the dual tone FPR nib. Also very nice. The FPR nibs are among one of my favorites. Now, let me just go back. Okay, it's railroading on me. Let me go back to my Jinhao just to get a sense, now that I've written with all these pens, where this one stands, so I can give you a much better description. Wow. Okay, I see. The difference is that this nib is much smoother. And I've got a feeling, you see the tip? It's not as fine. It's more of it starts off as a medium, and it's just right. It just gives you the right amount of flex, if you know what I mean. It's a controllable writing experience, and much, much smoother than any of these others. I got the cross flex here next. This is the Omas Bologna with the cross flex nib. Yeah, this cross flex is no control. It's a lot of fun, but it is really bouncy. Okay, it can get really, really nasty and gush on you, but yet a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's just too bad I'm not a calligrapher. But the last one is a cheap executive vice or vibe flex nib. So this is a executive, I think it's a vibe. They call it a ProFlex. It writes a little bit like the Yowo flex nibs, you know. It's got a little bit of a bounce, but it's a lot stiffer than all the others. Okay. The tines open up, but the nib doesn't really flex. It just opens up. That's the last one. Now I have many more, including my Aurora Flex, which writes more like an everyday pen. But I got to tell you, I am convinced, folks, if you're thinking about whether or not to get this, I really strongly recommend it. Now, one forewarning, you will find it a lot gushier if you like a thin line. So if you like the vintage flex nibs, which you can write very fine, and there's that bounce back, you may not get that here. because it starts off fairly thick. I mean, you have to be very gentle, and I guess you can be. But what I find, and that's me, what I find astonishing is that there is no railroading. So that means that that feed and this system of eyedropping is working to perfection. I got to tell you, yeah, you can see that it opens up and it wides up. There is a spring back. I can't say there isn't, but it's a gusher. But the ink just comes out. I mean, I haven't railroaded this pen once throughout this whole writing sample. So I got to tell you, folks, it comes recommended. You know, it's so much fun when you buy a pen. You know, it's $80, right? So, or something like that. Is it 80 or 69? I forget now. I want to be right. I don't want to mislead you. But it's always fun to get a pen that you're happy with. Where is it? Okay, so the Ultra-Flex. Yeah, the cone is more expensive. The Ultra-Flex is $98, so it's $100 Canadian. So it's not cheap. It's not a cheap pen. It's $100. You know, when you compare them to the others, you know, my Omas cost me $600. I forget what the V200 costs these days, but then you got to add the nib, and I think the FPR nib goes for $70, $80 Canadian. You know, even the good blue, I mean, you know, you end up paying $200 for the pen. So the Ranga pen, this Ranga, I think I can buy for $90, and once I put the nib in there, it ends up being $180, $170. The Mag 600 is what, $350, $400. The Scribo is what, $700, $800 these days. So when you look at the $98 Jinhao that writes beautifully, it's worth every penny. So the question is it worth the price? I think so. I like the fact that the ink really swishes nicely in there. So far, no leaks, but I've just inked it. I'll let you know. Part of my revisited recap, I'll revisit this often just to see how nicely does it, you know. I didn't put any silicone grease on the nib there. Maybe I should have. But so far, I mean, I see some, you know, the ink did get in there, but so far no leakages anywhere. So, wow, very happy. I'm very happy. So there you go. I hope that was useful and fun. Another fun nib for my collection. Another flex nib, if you're thinking about it and you can afford the $100 and it fits well in your priorities, I recommend it. 10 on 10. Take care, folks. Enjoy your pens and stay tuned for my next video. Ciao.